Hey readers, welcome to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. I'm happy that you're here today, and I'm also hoping that you'll help me to validate whether or not these decisions I'm about to make are are good ones. But I have a stack of 10 books that I have pulled from my shelves. I have been really pondering for the last couple of weeks, just kind of looking at them, thinking about the authors that I want to keep, the authors that I really like to read, the authors that I haven't read yet, some books that I have acquired, and am I really ever going to read them? So I'm going to try to do this once a month and get some of this backlist off my shelf or shelves. So today what I'm going to do is share with you each of these books, and then I'm going to try a chapter. I'm not going to film while I'm trying a chapter because 10 snippets of me reading a book isn't what you need. So I'm going to come back then and tell you which ones I'm going to unhaul. So here we go. The first one is The Gentleman's Hour by Don Winslow. I got this during the pandemic. My friend has had a bookstore. I think she still owns it. And she was giving us some options to have her ship us some books. She gave me a bundle, and this was in that bundle. And this was published in 2009. It is a suspense cop, police procedural book. And it's about former cop turned investigator Boone Daniels. He's a surfer, and one of the surfers is murdered. So this is one of the ones that I would like to decide about. It has a really pretty cover. This one I got, I think, from a library book sale. I don't read a lot of Nora Roberts, and this one is a pretty big one, but I have not, I got it from the book sale and I've never cracked it open. Goodness sakes, Nora Roberts is certainly prolific, isn't she? I'm gonna have to read the Goodreads synopsis for this. Love, Lies, and Murder. Bodine Longbow loves to rise with the dawn, manages her family's resort in western Montana, does not have time for love, even though there's a childhood crush, Callan Skinner, who's returned to the ranch. I was like, I thought this was a mystery, and it is. So a young woman's body is discovered on the resort land, and everything changes, and he's under suspicion for the murder. And then somehow Bodine's Aunt Alice vanished, never to be heard of again. Are those things connected together? It's got a pretty decent rating, but a lot of people like Nora Roberts, and I don't always, so there's that. This is a Heather Gutenkopf, One Breath Away, One School, One Gunman, Your Child. I think I also got this either in a little free library or a book sale. This is emotionally charged. Unknown man armed with a gun walks into an elementary school classroom. Broken Branch is the name of the town. Officer Meg Barrett holds a responsibility for the town's children in her hands. There is someone trapped in the classroom. Tension mounts. There is also a reader's guide, I think, at the end of this. Juliet Fay, City of Flickering Light, historical fiction. I think I bought this new, but many years. No, I can tell you where I bought it. It's my friend's bookstore. I paid $3 for it at Southern Bound Bookshop. So there we go. July 1921. Flickers are all the rage. Irene Van Beck has just jumped off a moving train to escape her brutal fate in a traveling burlesque show. When fellow dancer Millie Martin and comedian Henry Weiss leap after her, the three find their way to the bright lights of Hollywood with hopes of making it big in the burgeoning silent film industry. Okay, that's probably why I bought it. This one I bought more recently, and I actually ordered it, and I think it was self-published perhaps. And I think I read a chapter of this, but I'm going to try it again because I'm not certain. But I don't know a whole lot about this author except that this is about a woman named Madeline who's starting over. She was a romance author, and her marriage falls apart, and she goes to this little town in the Blue Ridge Mountains to recover. This one I got in a little free library, Finding Colin Firth by Mia March, who wrote the Meryl Streep Movie Club. This is about a woman who lost her job and left her husband. She's a journalist, and she's sure that if she scores an interview with Colin Firth, that will save her career and her marriage. It's heart-tugging local story about women, family ties, love, and loss. So she is connected to that story and is trying to figure out what happened to this woman. Then and Always by Danny Atkins, I almost got rid of not long ago. Rachel Wiltshire has everything she's ever wanted, friends, boyfriend, acceptance to the journalism program at her top choice college. But one fateful evening, tragedy tears her world apart. She's going to visit her best friend and celebrate her wedding. And she has a fall and wakes up to find her whole life has changed and she doesn't remember the people in her life in the same way. Something about her memory. And she doesn't know what happened. It's a very pretty cover. This one someone gave me, A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. She could not get into it, she said. Now is the NAO is the name of the character. Pacific Northwest. Hello Kitty lunchbox washes up on the beach. Wristwatch, letters, and a diary of Now Yasutani. And Ruth finds the lunchbox and starts being drawn into this mystery of this girl's fate. And then it's the story of Now. This one I got out of the shed the other day. There's no name on it except for on the spine. I'm sure there was a jacket, but it's actually a very pretty cover. There was a box of books that I had listed to go to Pango or to go away. And so I pulled this out because I was like, oh, but that's so pretty. So it's called Ransom by Julie Garwood. This is the second in a series called Highlands Lairds. With the help of Scottish chieftains, Ramsay Sinclair and Brodick Buchanan, Gillian, a beautiful young woman, could be Gillian, matches wits with the ambitious and unscrupulous Baron Alford, the man responsible for the death of her father and the destruction of her family. It has a 4.33 rating. Lots of people have read it. Some people I kind of know. So it might be good. And the last one is Gravity is the Thing by Jacqueline Moriarty. She is the younger sister of Leanne Moriarty, who just had a new one fairly recently come out. This is an ARC uncorrected proof that somebody put in a little free library. So this is about nothing. It says it's in the spirit of Maria Semple, Rainbow Rowell, and Gail Honeyman. I like and have read 2 out of the 3 of those. A single mother's heartfelt search for greater truths about the universe, her family, and herself. 20 years ago, Abigail Sorensen's brother Robert went missing one day before her 16th birthday. The same year, she began receiving scattered chapters in the mail from a self-help manual called The Guidebook, which promised to make her life soar to heights beyond her dreams. Over time, 2 decades later, Abby is invited to an all-expenses-paid weekend retreat to learn the truth about the guidebook. It's an opportunity too intriguing to refuse. So the guidebook must somehow be connected to her brother. All right, I'm going to start reading a chapter and I will come back to you when I have finished all 10 of them. Okay, I'm done with all the triad chapters. I did not do this all in one sitting. I just kind of left them on my coffee table, as I often do with stacks of books, and got to them when I felt like it. So we're going to go over what I thought about each one and what I'm keeping and not keeping. These were the first few I read a chapter of. Finding Colin Firth by Mia March. This is the woman who wrote the Meryl Streep Movie Club, which I have not read. But I actually did like this beginning. This one I got in a little free library, as I mentioned, and I really did enjoy this one. I think I actually read 2 chapters of this one because it was pretty good. And I think it'll be kind of cozy, but not cozy, if that makes sense. Publishers Weekly says consume with a bowl of popcorn and plenty of hankies. I do think that it is going to be funny, and also there's some, there's some things that are gonna move us to something because there's healing pies, right? So people must be healing from something. They must all be sharing, their secrets. But I want to know how this ends up and how it relates even more to Colin Firth, because that's kind of funny. So I'm keeping this one. Definitely keeping this one. And then and Always by Danny Atkins. I was actually also surprised by this one. I was pretty certain I was going to unhaul this one. The premise of this is it's a trope that is, has been done before, but I really thought the writing in this was good. And I felt like I wanted to know what else happens. And this is kind of, it starts here and then it goes 5 years later pretty quickly on, but I think it goes back and forth, which sometimes is a little tricky for me, but I think if I do this in physical copy rather than on audio, that usually works better for me. I think it'll still be good. So I'm keeping this one. This one I really thought I would keep, and I'm not keeping it. Ruth Ozecki's Tale for the Time Being. This has a beautiful premise to it. It is getting a lot of buzz and has gotten a lot of buzz. It's a beautiful cover. I just didn't connect with the characters at this point in my life. Now, just because I unhaul this doesn't mean I won't pick it up later in my reading life, but I think just for now, it's just not, it didn't work for me. So this one is going to be unhauled. Julie Garwood's Ransom. This one with the crazy pretty cover. I actually also liked this one, surprisingly. I decided that I would keep this one too. This is a murder mystery police procedural kind of situation. This also is about something that occurred early on, and then we look at different time spaces, and I liked the way it was written. I liked the introduction to it and kind of how it sets you up for what's about to happen. I might end up starting it at some point and then realizing it's not for me, because this one is kind of one of those that I could get rid of, but for some reason, I feel like maybe I should not. The Gentleman's Hour by Don Winslow is not for me. There's no question that this one isn't going to work for me. Yeah, it's just not my style of writing. Surfers too, and just, yeah, no, but I'm sure somebody's going to love it. It's in super great condition. Gravity is the Thing by Jacqueline Moriarty. This was an arc that I got, or a proof, an uncorrected proof that I got in a little free library at some point. This is also not going to work for me. Jacqueline Moriarty is the sister of Leanne Moriarty, and I understand that, it's not that it's badly written. I think it's written in the first person, and sometimes that doesn't work for me, and in this case, it did not. The next one is City of Flickering Light by Juliette Fay. This one surprised me because I was pretty sure I was going to unhaul this one. I've not been much in the mood for historical fiction lately, as much as I have been in the past. It's interesting how our preferences change over time. But when I originally bought this, it was really about the cover and the Hollywood kind of flair to it. And I read the first 2 chapters of this one, and I really did feel like I wanted to know more about these characters. I want to know what happens to them now that they've jumped off this train. And yeah, so I think that this is going to be something for me this coming year. So keeping that. This is Rachel Hannah's Welcome to Jubilee. I got this, I think, last spring. I don't remember what drew me to it, but something did. I've had it for a little while, but not terribly long. Yeah, it just didn't work for me. I read a couple chapters of this too, just to be sure. And I loved this cover. I just loved the whole premise of this, but it just isn't working. So it's going away. It's going in the other pile. So that's 4 in the unhaul pile so far and 4 in the keep pile. I have never read anything by this author. I have had this for a while. Also, I think Little Free Library acquisition, One Breath Away, Heather Gutenkopf. Everybody talks about Heather Gutenkopf in a pretty positive light. I have a few booktube friends that love Heather Gutenkopf. A lot of people read this author, but I was feeling like this might not be for me. I don't know why. I just felt like I needed to either read it or not read it. And I think this is definitely a read that I want to get to. I'm keeping this one. It is very propulsive, I think. It's about a school shooter and children, obviously. It won't be easy, which is maybe why I thought I should unhaul it. But yeah, this one is it's calling me forward. So that's 5 for the keep pile. This one shocked me because I was certain I was going to unhaul Nora. I was certain of it. I just felt like I needed to make sure. And then I read it and I was like, oh, maybe not. Look, there's no doubt that Nora Roberts or whoever her ghostwriters are, if she does indeed have them, I don't know. I don't know Nora. We've never talked about it for sure. A lot of people say she can't possibly be writing that many books at one time, and I can't speak for that except to say I've read a few. Sometimes they're a hit, sometimes they're a miss, but I really thought this would be a miss. But the first prologue is like, holy crap. And then, of course, I think I read another chapter too because I just wanted to kind of see where this went. But it's written well. It's got a hook to it for sure. The first prologue really pulls you right into what's about to happen in a quick, dirty way. Here's my sort of thought about this. If I don't read this by mid-2025, so I'm going to make myself a little note in my calendar to remind me, if you have not read Come Sundown yet by Nora Roberts, unhaul it today. So that's my commitment because I'm keeping it, but I'm keeping it with an eye on whether or not this author draws me in. I just have not read a Nora Roberts novel in a long time. Because then I'm keeping for now 6 books and only unhauling 4 of this series of 10, I decided to look a little bit deeper and see if there was a particular author that I was pretty sure I was not going to read. And guess what? There is. So this may upset some of you. And I'm not saying I'm not ever going to read this author because I think I've read 1 by this author. Maybe 2, but I think just 1. And it was a co-write with somebody else, which he's currently doing now a lot of. But this one is James Patterson. I just don't think James Patterson and I are needing to be together in this way. Like, I feel like if there's a James Patterson that I really, really, really want to read, I can find it at my library because honest to goodness, the real estate that James Patterson has taken up in our libraries is pretty significant, right? Like I can find James Patterson anywhere. So I have 2 of them, and London Bridges was, the title that got me for this. Again, I think I got this. I don't think I paid for either one of these, but this one just did not seem like something I wanted to read. So this is about Alex Cross, who is his FBI agent, and a wolf who is a nemesis who threatens to obliterate major cities, which now includes London, Paris, and New York. People love this author, so I'm not saying it's not going to be good, but Alex Cross and John Sampson venture into the rugged Montana wilderness where they will be the prey. So I'm sure in the moment when I found these in the little free library, I thought, oh yeah, these will be great little popcorn thrillers, and they probably are. But for now, since I have not gotten to either one of these for at least a year, maybe longer, they are going into the unhaul pile. So the unhaul pile is 6 books, and here they are. And I'm going to put the Gravity is the Thing into a little free library up the street, which we have now. And then this is the keep pile. So 6 and 6. I didn't plan it that way at all. Like I didn't say, let me take 6 more books or, let me make sure that I unhaul 6 books exactly and keep 6 books exactly. I just now realized it was 6 and 6, but there you go. Am I going to sell these on Pango is a good question. I've been thinking about Pango lately and how I'm not using it for anything but buying books. So I might start to just play with listing a couple of books again and maybe looking at what was on my former list. Maybe selling some of these on Pango. So stay tuned. I'll let you know if I decide to do that. But it just scares me. I don't know why it scares me to worry about how I'm going to ship them and get them out on time and all that stuff. It just feels like, because I've never done it, I guess. But I have several friends that have said, just do it. Just do it. Thanks for watching today. I wish I had all of you in my house to help me make these decisions when I was doing it, but some of them took me longer than others. I had to sit with it a little bit and really just kind of, yeah, explore. But I would love to know what you think about these titles, if these are books you think you would have kept or unhauled, or maybe you already have hauled or unhauled some of these. So let me know that in the comments below too. Let me know if you're kind of in an end of the year purging mode, because that's where I am definitely, not just books. I am looking at my junk drawer. I've been looking at my pantry. I've been looking at all kinds of things just to kind of notice what I don't need anymore. And we are talking too about like our stuff and how much stuff do we really need. So those are the conversations that are happening in our house this last few weeks. But thank you so very much for being here and being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, I would love for you to be, if that's something you'd like to do. And as always, happy reading. Bye.